Hello, everybody, and welcome to Capsule Cast Teams. As always, I'm your host, DoorGuard, with my co host, Donut.
Hello, everyone.
And this week we have our special guest, the Resurrected Warriors, featuring their coach, FCD,
Hello.
and one of their number one fan supporters in Bandit.
It is I.
So, as always, we'll be going through what the teams are, what makes them so special. Resurrected Warriors being a very kind of boisterous team, well-known, newer team, but of a kind of a rotating philosophy that's changed a few times. With that, are you guys ready to kind of go over what makes your team Resurrected Warriors?
Yeah, I think we are to. Yes. So, Resurrected Warriors. To make it very simple, is the heroes. Well, as long as you can consider Vegeta to be a hero, it's the heroes that have died in the show but were able to come back or in any special ways. Usually, that just means the Dragon Balls, but I think what makes us really a team and not just an assembly of character is that the resurrection part of Dragon Ball has always been very important to it. It's a bit different between Dragon Ball and let's say uh, Naruto and One Piece and things like that. Is from the start that there's a big magical dragon that it made people come back to life. And so it's always been part of the story. And I think having a team dedicated to how much these warriors can do to war with the hope that if they die, maybe their partners can survive. I think it's a sweet touch to have in the league. It really is like one of the major focus point of Dragon Ball. It's the Dragon Balls, and you don't really have much more representative of that than resurrected warriors outside of Nova Senran and Shin Senran, who are literally made out of that. So I think that's what made us a team. It's the fact that we really represent something important in the lore of Dragon Ball. That's something that's been there from Dragon Ball, with Tid Goku, that is still there with in Super. It's the power that these artifacts contain and how our team represent uh, a part of it.
Yeah, really, really fun team that kind of takes in more deeply the kind of one of the biggest mechanics the show introduced that kind of fell off as seasons went on. So, Bandit, how would you have anything to add to that, or what would you describe as like your favorite part of Resurrected Warriors?
Well, FCD spoke a lot of the thematic of the team, so I don't have much to add to that bit. However, I can speak of the mechanic of the team that I personally enjoy is that in theory we have a wide range of characters that we have to, given that a lot of characters in Dragon Ball Z, etc., perished and then came back to life. So we have like options where in theory we could have like Yamcha, who is a staple of like the Earth Defenders or like Tien. A lot of the Earth Defenders like perish in the series, so it's an easy team to use as characters. It's really the ability of where in each season we could have any agreement with our team. Hey, I have this character. How about you? We trade each other, or we make a three-way trade to have another character. So our team has a lot of potential where we can have diverse roster.
Yeah, I think you guys have one of the most unique cases of being able to almost completely rebrand with each season. I mean, this season was a pretty big rebranding. I have the old banner up here, and it's going to look a lot different this upcoming season when it gets updated here. I bet you guys already got your updated one, but we can't quite show them off just yet. You'll have to check them out in the preseason. But
Mhm.
yeah, certainly is an amazing part of your squad, and it's going to be interesting to see each season like how much you guys change.
Mhm.
Donut, do you have a question perhaps for them?
So, kind of curious, what kind of drew you to the team in the first place? Was it just the concept or the theme of the team, or was it just a character? that was on the lineup or that you could have had on the lineup? What kind of drew you to Resurrected Warriors?
Just go ahead, FCD. You can start that off,
Yeah,
Bandit.
FCD,
Jump in
yeah, you can go first.
with what you
Yeah.
have.
Well, obviously, I joined. Well, both him and I, we are the original first two members of what was Team Afterlife. As soon as the team was announced and that there was going to be a Toads trial, I told the people that were in Team Derp at the time, which was like Derenzo, Spoofy, Bandit, some others. I told them I'm gonna do a Toads tryout for Team Afterlife because I had been part of the league since Bandit showed it to me week 11 of season 1. So I've been here and he's been here for ages. So when we saw that there was this opportunity, I really thought that the idea of Team Afterlife was very interesting because one thing that I've always loved to do is to switch around pieces, try characters that I haven't had the chance to try before. And while making researches for this, I was able to find back the original Team Afterlife, and it didn't even have the time to make it to the season that I already switched characters out. So it's no surprise for anyone. But yeah, the idea of a really nice thematic that is a very important part of Dragon Balls and that offered a lot of piece changing and the possibilities of moving around. Like, I've never been necessarily the type of guy who wanted, like, oh, I want 3 powerhouses, I want my team to be super strong. As long as I have 1 or 2 characters that are like pretty solid, and then the rest I'm like, well, if they don't work, I have options for next season. I'm good with that. And really, I'd say that's what interested me in becoming Afterlife shows, is I saw all those minor characters, all those unused people, and I was like, I have a chance at becoming that. And when Afterlife died and they offered us, at first they offered us Team GT. Like, I could have been the original coach of Team GT if I wanted to,
Oh,
but I was kind of hesitant because while I'm not a hater of GT, neither Bandit and I are really like big fans of it. So when instead they said you can have Resurrected Warriors, we felt like it was closer to home for us.
fair enough. And for Bandit, what about you on your your inspiration to like join the team for Resurrected Warriors, or is there a favorite member on the team that you have?
Well, it's obviously part of it is because my best friend FCD was there, so I can't like avoid this fact. It is a fact that I wanted to join because my friend was here, but I wouldn't participate if I didn't enjoy characters that are on the team. Obviously, how can I say? FCD like summed up a lot of our journey because we journeyed a lot together, but there's like a road where I was on dirt for a longer time, but that does not fully encapsulate encapsulate the actual story for Resurrected Warriors. But again, I'm gonna maintain you speak of the mechanics. It's really the ability of when I get tired of a character, I can speak to the team, which like the other member who's not here, Crackman. Shout out to other team member Crackman. I can speak to him or FCD and say, hey, how about we? This character does not work. What can we do to have another character or a better character or a different character? Because sometimes we don't just need a front line of 4 melee fighters. We need like a spammer, like Tapion, who's not part of the original lineup for Resurrected Warrior. He's our free agent for people who are not aware.
Yeah, he is FA locked.
That is a whole other can of beans that a cinema is not allowed to touch for good reason.
Yes.
But yeah, I think I mean, you guys have a very unique journey in that you've been like teammates for a while, and since Resurrected Warriors last season was their real, first big season kind of stepping out, I guess existing too, right? it's been an interesting journey in a lot of ways. So hopefully it'll continue that way. And as said, you guys have a lot of a lot of variability each season. So if a character's not working, you don't have to worry. And when we get to the last slide, you'll see what I mean. It gets pretty intense. So do you guys want to get going on to the current cast of characters?
Yeah.
What happened if I say no? Alright, sure, yes.
Nah, you got outvoted. I'm sorry. So
Oof.
starting off with kind of the main man of the team, probably the one character I don't see getting dropped of any of them is Vegeta. Obviously, lots of good things about him. Being a Vegeta, he has Vegeta class Rush Blast, just great B2s, great melee. I mean, everybody just calls him an overall badass. He is kind of the definition of an all-rounder, kind of does everything well. He does have his issues, though. This last season they tried to implement, but due to other changes, still can only start in base or Super Saiyan 1. Maybe in the future can get back to going to Super Saiyan 2 as a start. Still can transform. Banned from Master Blast, Rush Blast 2. As always, Vegeta class Rush Blasts are too good. And some say he might have mellowed out with age. When you look at some of the earlier forms of him, seem sometimes to be a little more aggressive, but that's all in perspective. So, SCD, would you call in Vegeta maybe the one anchor on the team?
Yeah, he's definitely he's pretty much the MVP. He's been here. He's been in Team Afterlife since season 9. After that, he became Resurrected Warriors. He was supposed to be on season 8 of Afterlife, but my very first decision as a coach was to drop him for Handoku. That's my best move ever. But as a character himself, and Vegeta, he's a fun character to build. Because I feel like, maybe if I need to take a putter out of him, I can just, sometimes instead we put more T in it, sometimes we put more melee in it, sometimes we've even tried just a bit more B2s in it, and he hasn't offered a lot of 80, 90, 100k performances lately, but he's been able to do them at time, and generally he will offer between 50 to 7k. So that's always a good thing to have. He's very he doesn't have a big weakness. Sure, his B1s are unimpressive, but when you have a strong melee game as he is, when you have a 2-bar B2 like he does, it's really difficult to not appreciate how good he is. Before he was the 1-2 punch combo with Python, and after that he became his own man, and he's been doing a great job as his own man leading the group.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think any team will ever look at him as just that guy. He's always going to be the guy. So what do you have to add on, Bandit? Is he kind of a character that's going to keep you drawn in? Is he kind of your guy, or is he just that strong character you're happy to have and you're going to leave him be?
He's a Vegeta, and a lot of the Vegetas are very, very good. So as much as I'm not necessarily drawn to him, I know I take him to as the fact that he is a necessity on the team where to have a somewhat consistent performance, we kind of need a character who can perform on a certain level. And that's Vegeta for me. I need a character that can be good. Of course, I want characters that I like, but if I only play characters that I like, I will have a team of 5 General Blues. And that will lead me nowhere. So I still appreciate Vegeta for what he is, but it's not like a character that I'm gonna groan at him like I groan at Goku's, but we're gonna speak of him when we get there anyway. But they're not the same level, but I still appreciate the characters I have on it.
Yeah, for sure. It's a double-edged sword when you get a character so strong, because it's you kind of have to like him at that point. So at the very least, he's someone being a Vegeta means he's gonna do what he does. You don't have to worry too much about it. Maybe not the favorite, maybe not always gonna do elite status, but it's nice to have those kind of solid guys to hold down the squad. Is there anything else you guys would like to add onto him? Maybe disappointment in the change that happened, or the addition and removal that happened within the same month for his Super Saiyan 2?
well, it was disappointing for Sword as he looked really solid as Super Saiyan 2, like impressively one step above what he already is. So we kind of felt like last season he was very good, but he wasn't like necessarily as strong as some other teams from this. If I remember correctly, I had said the stats, and he was the weaker character to be the
Excuse me.
top leader of a team at the end of last season. So having him even stronger was super interesting. But after some weeks to be able to test the character that replaced him being Super Saiyan 2, I've warmed up on it. At first it was a lukewarm reaction, but now it's I can see, and I can accept it.
I was disappointed, but I understood after a while the decision because if we do have a team where it is grossly overpowered by just having a singular character in a certain stage, at this point there's no fun in the league anymore.
Yeah, got to keep it competitive. I mean, it's a change that could come back at least. I don't know if the form was, one that I think it was just one that they didn't have enough time to fully explore because it'd been banned for so long and, had some baggage per se that limited its potential. But you never know. Things have changed a lot with how much has already come down with the new staff and new Discord and all that. Well, should we move on to your guys' second member, or maybe?
Well, I'll tell you,
member?
I have
Go
one more
ahead, Donut.
question. One more question regarding Vegeta here. He ended up being the 23rd ranked character last season, right? And I believe that was majority on the Super Saiyan form, if I remember right. So what was the thought process or testing process like from changing him from Super Saiyan down to his base form for this season?
The biggest main point we saw, well, first of all, was the fact that Trackman, who really liked, he had a bit interest in the base form and wanting to try it out, and always important to try to give your supporters their voice and all that. So we did some
Definitely.
tests, and it really felt like base Vegeta was a bit more insisting B2 wise compared to his blonde brother, and we felt like it could be a nice experimentation to just try to see if we can do what we did with Super Saiyan 1 as base. It's like they're both so similar because it's not like their movesets change that much in between form. And since base seems just a bit more trigger happy, we decided just why not? Let's just try.
Again, for Crackman's ideas, I thought it was a good idea myself. As back during the previous season, we were kind of in a rut where Vegeta as a Super Saiyan 1, he did not do what we actually wanted to do exactly. He was a bit too mainly focused on when we tried to go 2v2. It did work, and his AI seems to have changed when performing on a base level.
Yeah, I mean, I think the funniest part was the avalanche you guys started afterwards, in which other teams started looking at base forms as well. Specifically, like Future Gohan started really getting looked at as base, where it was only an idea before. So you never know. Sometimes you guys just, trying something out that a supporter says causes a whole wave of change in the whole league.
Trend setting,
Well, shall we move on then to the next member? I think Vegeta's had enough time in the spotlight. He'll get plenty more this season.
Yep.
True.
Do it. Best cats on the team coming up.
Moving on to an ex-android, but current, badass for Resurrected Warriors is Android 8, aka Aider. Brings a lot of good stuff. Loves his super explosive wave. Loves his strong grabs. He's just been pretty decently consistent throughout the seasons, and has all the benefits of Android, passive charger, immune to guard breaks, and stuff like that, or key breaks. He does have his slight issues being he has a rush ult, which can be very detrimental at times. He's a little bit of a bigger character, so he's a little easier to hit with B2s, and his melee's not the slowest, but it is got a little bit of a windup because he likes to throw some haymakers. So they hit hard, but they take some time to hit, so it also has caused him a little bit of issues. FCD, this seems like another member most teams don't think you'll ever drop due to just how well he does year in, year out. What kind of brings Ader to staying with the squad?
Well, what he brings to the team is, as we say, it's stability. It's just he's had one or two like underwhelming performances. It just happens that one of them was during playoffs.
Yeah.
But like outside of that, he's been so consistent and so like on the mark. He's never been. He rarely goes over 50, but he rarely goes under 40. So it's very useful to have a character like that you can have faith in. Also, just for me, it's there's a bit question of like lighting the character himself. That's I remember back season 2 and 3, there were at the time the Android coach was called Dre, and I'd make comment with him about like one day like I'd love to be able to be in a team that has Ader and work on him because both him and I were pretty much fanboys of Ader really, and like years later I'm the coach of a team that has Ader in it. So the idea of dropping him or trading him is like you better offer me like the moon for him, otherwise that good boy gonna stay on my side because it's been one of my favorites in childhood as a character, and as a unit in the game, his Ader anger is so useful. Ader attack can be pretty strong too, and it's just, and I think his B1s are a bit underrated in my opinion. Like if you take the time to look at it, having false rates and a max power mode, that's solid. That's very solid B1s to go along his explosive waves. So to me, yeah, he's just so consistent, so stable, and also has a special place for me. I don't really see me dropping him outside of if both Bandit and Trapman are like, look, he gotta go. Like, for some reason, he gotta go. It's over. If that happens, he's gonna go, but it's gonna take a lot for Hater to lose a spot.
Yeah, do you have much? Oh, go ahead, Bandit.
Oh my. And for me, I do have a soft spot for the Dragon Ball era myself, and I'm a bit harsher I am on Ader than FCD is because I see Ader's kid and I'm like, man, he force courage and max power mode. By all account, I feel like he should be able to use this B1 and do way more damage. Like be like on Vegeta level of damage, if not more. But also, the rest of his kit makes so he's sluggish. I still like the guy. I still like when he just charge forward with a green aura around him and just fist someone in the mouth. That's his big thing, fisting. I hope there's not a bleed for this because I made a hilarious. But seriously, no. Ader, I like him a lot. I don't see him going unless he starts performing massively underwhelmingly. Wow, English. But even then, it will be a bit awkward to let him go because I always expect an Android supporter to be like, hey, they drop Android. Hey, how about we replace whoever we had, like Jero or whoever, for Android 8 and be even stronger?
I mean, he is just a. I mean, Donut, you want to take away on talking about the Ader train? I think you have more than a few kind words for this man.
Yeah, I'm definitely on the Ader hype train. Mr. Take His Man over there. Mr. Consistent. He, as FCD said, always does his 40k. Doesn't do much above that, which is somewhat upsetting, but hey, if you have a character who will constantly take his man, that's more than enough in most cases for most teams, right? And his ability to be really up in the face of his opponent and be able to use multiple different builds from super to defense to I know in TOP they use attack, and he's so versatile in what battalions he can run that it creates makes him very malleable in the comp, right, in the lineup. So I can change Vegeta to have Ki instead of Super if I want to put Super over on Ada. It's very nice, right? You have that leniency with him, and he'll still do his 40k. So to have a character like that is really nice, very hard to plan for as well, because you know that someone has to face him. It's like, well, I know he's not get really chunked out or he's going to die to Ada. So you have to pick your poison in a sense. And as well, when you have other characters who can spam out like Vegeta and like another character that we recently picked up who we'll get to later, it causes a lot of problems when prepping for Resurrected Warriors. So I cannot speak highly enough for Ada. Easily one of the best members, if not the best member in my opinion, for Resurrected Warriors. Fantastic, fantastic grab for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody knows Ader's anger is permanent. He's kind of got that whole Hulk meme of, the secret is I'm always angry. And he really is. He's just always angry.
Yep.
I assume he's probably one of the characters that'll be, as FCD said, it'll take a lot of convincing to be dropped. I don't think he's just
Yeah.
gonna disappear one day. He's really gonna have to slow down, but
Yeah, that's some sad news for me.
who knows? Who knows? The season's always ever evolving.
True.
And
Very true.
though having a Bandit say that he has some fondness for Dragon Ball characters also makes it a little harder for him to be dropped. But that's all up in the air for now. Well, is there anything else you guys would like to add on to the Ataver?
No, just that I love him forever. That's it.
You may both.
I'm good.
All right, well, let's move on to the next character. This one will make me a little saltier. His name is Majub. I have some prior, we had a relationship, let's just leave it at that. So, very, very strong character, very recent pickup, brings a lot to the team. Loves to spam his 2-bar B2, loves to, more than eating and breathing sometimes. He's got really quick melee, it does a good chunk of damage, and it just, with both those, it just makes him a very consistent threat. He does have some cons. His blast ones are Kyokusin and Mystic Breath, which are both near useless most of the time. His ult is an even worse Genocide Blast. I don't know how you can make it worse, but it is. And while his B2s he loves to spam, they don't have very much range, being a volley and chocolate beam. They don't go very far, so kind of limited on distance he can, do. But overall, pretty solid character. He's fit right into the Resurrected Warriors squad and has a lot of variability in what he can do. So, FCD, this was kind of a surprise pickup for you. How's it been gaining the power that is Majub?
Yeah, that was very surprising. It just happened one day. Mods arrived in our chat and they were like, "Oh, by the way, you have Majub now, so buy Videl." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I wasn't gonna complain about losing Videl for Majub. Videl has offered some good performance here and there, and he has it always feels like he was one step away from having great potential. But I mean, Majub is, the way I can describe him, really, the way I've been building him, the way we've been testing him and all of that, he's like Vegeta Jr., he has the 2-bar energy volley, he has the solid melee, he doesn't have like the hold that Vegeta has, but Vegeta also has basic B1s, still a bit better than what Majub has. But it's just kind of like, what if we tried Vegeta then? That's kind of like we do it. Lately, we've put Eternal Life on him, and it's been solid. He's just like a 2-bar B2 spammer who has lots of health, and that's been working well for the past few weeks. I'd even dare to say that he might be even looking slightly better than Vegeta at time, which I'm not necessarily sure it's gonna stay that way because Vegeta is Vegeta, but he's been doing some damage. The only really time I see him struggle lately, it's I don't know why. It's against Nail. It's against Nail from Namit. It's the only one who seems to constantly be able to deliver Madzub. But outside of that, Madzub has been very solid. I enjoy the B2 game. I enjoy the melee game. He's a fun character to have around, and I'm glad we have him.
Yeah, I think he's a character that can fill in a lot of positions. Um, while Kyokusin has brought me great shame as seasons have come and gone, and Nail has brought even more. He is, I think you could be quite honest. I think most teams struggle with Nail here, FCD, but that's just a Nail thing. So, Bandit, what about you? I mean, this is a pretty big surprise gift to kind of get in the middle of the off season. How has Maju been adjusting for you?
Well, we have to compare him the fact that to the person he replaced. Vidal for me was like a gift from the heavens above. For I have cursed the name of Vidal in private to FCD so many times, as I am not very, very not kind to Vidal. But enough about her. It's about Maju. Maju, just like FCD said, yeah, he brings a lot of what Vegeta does, but I personally believe that Maju melee game seems to be a bit better. I'm not sure at 100%, but I believe it is better than even Vegeta's. And at given his own kit of B2s, it seems to be a better mix to use in a mid to close range as Energy Volley and the Chocolate Beam will hit more often at a close range than like Vegeta was a beam and then a volley which is a long range and a mid-ish range B2. But just overall I think that Majum is a character that he does nothing bad except the clearing floor put him on TNA high so can spam those arrows. I know every other team will want that to happen, but it's not gonna happen.
Mhm.
But it's a even though Madrid is a character I have no fondness for because I haven't watched GT. I already thought the premise was uninteresting to me, but it's just like wow, it's a character that works. Finally, a love character that works with what I want him to do.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. He's a very easy one to manage because you kind of just throw something on him and he does his thing. Um,
Yeah.
makes it very very enjoyable. So
Mhm.
as
It
a
has it has a little bit of an issue though when you have like you put him on an attack build, he'll do a bunch of B2s, or put him on a B2 build, he just do all melee, right? He had that history going on for a while. So hopefully he changes that little trend into actually doing what his build says to do, right?
Yeah, I feel like it's the good thing with us building him with the Eternal Life thing is that
Mhm.
he's kind of right now in more of a mix. Like, he can do a bit of both. So
Mhm.
it's okay if 1 week his AI decide to throw a bit less B2 and throw more melee, because we
Yeah.
didn't really put that many point in his B2 game to begin with.
Yeah.
So it's more of a versatile fighter. So it's okay
Yeah.
for us if he doesn't necessarily go one way the same week after week.
Yeah, yeah, because right now you have him on like a defense and eternal life, just having him be out there a long time, and he'll do his job, right? You just give him enough time, he'll be able to throw out enough B2s or do enough melee combos to warrant, his time out there. So
yeah, I mean there's a lot of variability. Um, and he's only I mean, I only had Maju for the one season because it was always Oob on Booze. So this is the
yeah.
first season that he'll be representing Resurrected Warriors. So, lots of excitement. I know a lot of people just enjoy watching him because he seems to put in a ton of work every week. It'll be interesting to see where he ends up this season. Is there any other comments you guys have on, you know, Majub?
No, I'm good.
I'm good.
Mhm.
So moving on to the third and probably one of the most exciting characters, at least some people were very excited about seeing get picked up. Yajirobe, kind of the man with the plan, has bounced around a lot. Has a lot of fun stuff to him. He has a max power mode Blast 1. Always nice to see those. He has some quick fire B2s. He just has just like overall relatively quick melee for his size, and is the bean daddy, as some would say. Though he does have his cons, being that he does tend to focus with his rush, and he has a rush ult, so he gets to ult a lot, but it's in a form that sometimes doesn't quite land. His damage suffers just a tad, maybe a little too much beans, and unfortunately, he's not even allowed to have his beans because if they're activated, the team doesn't get to have Eternal Life. So, an unfortunate trade-off. It means he has to eat them in private. So CD, this was kind of a surprise for some people. I know he was looking very good in testing. Being a tester myself, I saw him a lot.
Yep.
What spurred the change into the addition of the Yajirobe?
Well, we kind of felt like the last member of the team that this last season, which was Hurley Piccolo. He had a high ceiling, he really did, but he spent a lot of time on the floor. Like he had 2 performances under 10K. He had some in the 20s. He ended up with one like 70K performance one to like really show his potential, but then never fully reached it at the end. So we wanted someone who was a bit more, kind of like Aider, that we expect a bit more stability, even if it's not as impressive. Bandit is pretty big fan of Yajirobe in the past seasons that we've been testing him, so I think it would say maybe a bit more about that. But yeah, he's kind of like a certain tank possibility. He has solid B1 usage. He's been consistent. He's been stable, and he's just. It really was a question over early Piccolo, where we were ready to accept a slightly inferior maximum result to gain a much more constant useful character that if we send him in the lineup, we expect some stuff out of him. Where last season, a big problem of Team Afterlife was like, you didn't know what to expect of early Piccolo, you didn't know what to expect of Videl, and after the first half of the season, you didn't even know what to expect of Android 18. So we tried this season to make it much more, you know what to expect, you know what to do, and you just gotta go with it. And Yajirobe been a solid part of that.
Yeah, for sure. I think you just never know sometimes until you really get into testing some characters and what your team kind of needs and what its options are. So, Bandit, what about you? Obviously, this so far we've learned you guys are very much a team kind of majority on what's going on with what characters. So I assume you had some input into the Bean Daddy being picked up.
Indeed, I was, as I was one of. It's been a while, so I think I was one of the artists who pushed for Yajirobe for Piccolo trade. As like FCD said, early Piccolo does have a way higher ceiling where his ultimate is very, very good at early Piccolo, obviously. But getting it to it constantly and being just fired up at all was not something we could bank our money on. And getting Yajirobe was, he might have a lower ceiling, but he has a way higher floor, which is something that's going to be consistent of all the characters, is that we try to raise the floor of our characters so we can have a more consistent result during our matches. And Yajirobe was a character that could raise the floor, as not having the being to use guarantees that his only B1 that he's gonna use will be his max power mode, which is well, everyone knows that max power mode is very good, but Yajirobe has a natural power body, I believe he has during that. So
Yeah.
having that,
I believe so.
Yes.
I believe
he does.
I believe he does have a mass power. But
and having that consistently being used either as a UB or as a melee game is huge, as a lot of characters cannot overcome. that wall that happens over false courage or well all of that. Which during melee you can just smack someone away who was punching you, and then you're punching them.
Yeah.
Ah,
He does get a melee boost out of it as well, so just in general gets a lot of good stuff by activating that max power mode blast one.
Yep.
indeed. And there's a lot of Potara that we don't normally use on our team. That like either charge our B1 faster or start with B1, or the cost of that B1 is reduced. Which means that the HRB has a plethora of Potara that he has access to almost only himself.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a character I think a lot of people sleep on, and you guys didn't want to sleep on that, wanted to check it out, and
Mhm.
while you have more variety in performance from early Piccolo as stated, you get sometimes it's keeping it in that closer to within this range so it's more predictable. I can work with it a little better. Let my higher variety be in the characters have a higher variety and higher damage outputs. So nice to have. Some teams you just got to have your Yajirobis on them just to sit there, take their man. It's what Ader was excelling at, and why a lot of people very much like Ader, and I think Yajirobe can for sure handle a similar role, though. Who knows? Maybe we can give him like super explosive wave, but he just slings his sword around him really fast.
That'd be fun. That'd be funny.
Explosive bean wave.
Mm.
Explosive bean attack for sure. Well, is there anything else you guys have to add on the Bean Daddy himself?
No, I think I'm personally did.
I like that he's short, fat, and he has a sword.
Yeah, very unique when compared to many of the other characters in the
Yep.
series. He
Mm-hmm.
certainly delved too far away from creativity after Yajirobe. Took too much of it. Well, moving on to the final character, at least for this season, is early Goku, who was acquired via a loan for Android 18. Comes in, is going to bring in some decent power, has some pretty good melee, really good B1s, just decently versatile when it comes to his offense, and has a non-banned cutscene ult, being mostly due to it being its small projectile. But the Spirit Bomb, if it hits in any fashion, even if they're on the ground, just goes into the cutscene and does its damage, so it does quite well. He does have his cons. One of his B1s being Kaioken is very strong, gives him very big boosts, but it puts him on a timer where it slowly eats away at his ki until it's gone. His B2s and while powerful, are on the smaller side of kind of size, so makes him a little harder to hit. This is his pre-Super Saiyan swagger, so it's purely black hair Goku. But probably the biggest issue he has is, like with many of the Gokus, he has Goku syndrome, where sometimes he just doesn't do anything you build him for, or just does something completely unpredicted and you can't do anything about it. So good character. Many would say the Gokus bring a lot of damage to the table, but that Goku syndrome can make it quite scary in trying to predict how well they'll do on either side. So FCD, this was another big kind of move made in the off season. 18 was seen as a very strong character, so early Goku coming in is, I would say also a very strong character, just in a different way. So what kind of led to that?
What led to that really was the second half of last season, where Android 18 kind of felt a bit frustrating at time, where it was really a question of we deliver the same builds he had during, the previous part that include the All-Star event, where he was in a All-Star match between Team Duru and Team Tammy, and he did amazingly well on that very same build that we've been using. Yet to do like 30k performances, it struggles, it stuff it in your hold. It was kind of feeling it was just kind of feeling like the team was already not enough uh stable, that once we had an opportunity that we saw to maybe drop a character who could offer just a tiny bit more stability, because he does also have some of the same problems, but a bit less, in my opinion. Uh, we kind of went for it, and well, It's time. I dare some people to say that 18 for early Dota and just two Zennies, it's not. Maybe some would say it's not an equivalent trade. He's had some good performance right now, and without that two Zenny, theoretically speaking, we wouldn't have Tapion because Cinema bid on him before us, and they put the amount of Zenny on him that we had before receiving Zennies ourselves. So I guess you can in a way, this was a trade to receive still a solid character and a bit more money for the bidding season, and that worked us well for us. So I don't really have at the moment, even though I've seen some of Bullet ITS and 18 has been doing good, I don't have any regret doing that trade right now.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think there was regret as much as just reasoning behind it because I
Yep.
think you described it pretty well. Both characters on both sides are strong but inconsistent per se, where they you have to worry a little bit about it. So, Bandit, I'm assuming you also had a hand in it. Is Early Goku just a character you really wanted to start messing around with per se?
Actually, no. I had no real interest in Goku, but what I had an interest in was that I was stumped. I had no idea what to offer as a suggestion to help build Android 18 onto something else as just stop me if I'm speaking for university. I think we all had no idea what to say or what to do to Android 18. So our idea was we're gonna loan her to another team so that they can figure out something while we're gonna try to figure out something with Guru. As there's no way we're gonna like majorly fail on Goku. I'm sure we can make something with the testers. And just if you remind me, was there an instance in the last season where 18 like performed worse than Videl? What did that happen?
Um, she had moments where she seemed like she was trying to become best friend with Videl by moving down her standard to join Videl, but I don't think she did worse than her. So really,
Uh,
it was more a question of uh, really, she wasn't consistent, and we wanted a melee character, and I don't really consider Android 18 to be that great of a melee character, considering the fact she has a minus in it. So yeah, she just didn't fit the mold we wanted to have this season.
yeah, that's what I forgot that we lacked some melee and Android 18's melee is very lacking. And given that we were again not sure where to go with her anymore, we prefer to loan her. And I'm speaking more about Android 18 than I am about Goku, is because I don't have much to say about Goku because he's such a jack of all trades that we can build him in any way, but he's also a tendency like the Goku syndrome to do anything he wants whenever he wants.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just this really shows on how much variety you guys can have. I think that's been one of the coolest parts is just seeing something like this come out. Very very much shows how much your lineups can change because 18's a character I don't think many people expected to to have come and go, but granted it's only for a season, so it's not like she's just gone, she'll be back, but you know,
And
this is certainly a good way to experiment, and I
yeah,
think
and I'm gonna bounce off that real quick, and how you guys have Vegeta and Maju who kind of fit that same role as 18 with the spamming out, right? And I think they do it as to a higher degree due to they can actively charge and just constantly spam out, and where 18 who have to passively wait for it. So to get yourself someone who can do that more melee with a Kaio 10, like other Goku, that's really solid, helps round up your lineup a lot. So now you have people to utilize those melee battalions, people who are dedicated for more spamming things, and people who have your tanks like Ada, right? So you have a very well-rounded composition as well with no one who's really down to the bottom feeders of, oh, am I doing 10k this week or am I doing 50, right? There's no variance in that, or at least less variance. Something that puts you in a very formidable state going into the season.
yeah, I don't know if there's much else I can really add on to the conversation. I think you guys have explained early Goku's spot, why he's here. Is there other insider knowledge you want to reveal, or is it just he's looking to be a character you're hoping steps up this season?
All I can add really is that the fact that Stratman was pretty much behind it too. To not forget about him, because I mean he's been here since season 8 with both Bandit and I. We have been there's not a season of Afterlife or Resurrected Warriors without Stratman being part of it during it. So it's always important that he was a voice of support during that. And I just really love the two Solar Flare used, so that's been a bit plus for us. And that's pretty much all I had to add about him.
Yeah, for sure. Bandit, is there any final remarks on early Goku on your side?
I will admit that, like you've said, it's remarkable how a character is able to capitalize on Solar Flash so much, as I'm so used throughout all those seasons where a character does Solar Flash and just flies off. So it's good that he actually does a melee combo or maybe attempts once in a while, maybe do half of it.
Yeah, for sure. I think any characters that can capitalize on their move sets in multiple ways are always great to have. Makes their offense a lot more versatile, as I have put in the slide. So, shall we get on to probably the longest section where we don't have to spend a ton of time, but shall we move on to the master list portion?
Sounds great.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, as you guys can see here, there is a lot. There's a lot of characters that are eligible for the squad here. So, just going to go over a few, mostly the open ones, the ones that are currently floating around in limbo that can be picked up, and some of them have been picked up as free agents, but they're not permanent. That includes Chaozu, Devilman, Master Roshi, Early Piccolo, and Videl. Early Piccolo and Videl, previous acquaintances to the team, so don't see them coming back. But you never know. And then there's a massive list of other characters that can be picked up. So gonna leave that for later. So FCD, obviously, as you said before, there's lots of trades you can do. So there's, I don't know which ones would be potentials, but there's obviously a lot here that you could go for, as well as a few characters, especially some surprising ones like the Roshi drop that could be potentials for pickup next season. So, what are some ones maybe you've been thinking about, or at least characters you'd like to experiment with?
Well, Xiaozu was a part of Afterlife for a while, and I've always appreciated him. It was kind of rough last season. We kind of had Trackman had not joined this new server yet, so it was really Bandit, myself, and Zillow bat at that moment, and we tried, and it was like a bit. It was a bit debate, like who was gonna be the fifth, and we ended up dropping Xiaozu for Early Piccolo. Um, what's in insight maybe wasn't the best move. Maybe we should have dropped Videl instead of him, something like that. But so we still have interest towards Xiaozu, and I'm very interested to see in what he's doing with Rugrats as a free agent. So that's good. Devilman, we've tried a bit. I was kind of surprised. I was like, oh, he's doing better than I expect from Devilman. But then again, he's Devilman, so you kind of have the feeling that the ceiling has to be kind of low on him. And we weren't that impressed, but we were still a bit behind the idea of, oh, maybe we can offer a bit more test to Devilman. And then we received Madub, and that was like that was the end for Devilman. That was right there. Master Rossi, I'm very interested in trying next season to do some tests on him. If I had really seen coming that move, I would have included him in some of my tests during the off season just to see. But since we really had no data on him, that's a no. And Early Piccolo and Fidel, as you say, we had them, we tested them, we dropped them. So maybe one day Fidel or Piccolo will be back in Team Resurrected Warriors. But especially in the case of Videl, that's probably a day where I'm no more the choice of the team. That's probably the case.
Yeah, I mean, that's just talking about the ones that are open. There's a billion.
Yeah.
I mean, as we saw this season, loans are already flying off the wall. So who knows what might be available next season, especially with 18 coming back.
Who?
I know Donut here maybe wouldn't be 100% against an 18 for 17 at some point down the line or whatnot, or obviously an 8er for something. You know, there's a lot of things there. Obviously, Earth Defenders have an immense amount of characters, including another Goku, that can be grabbed. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how you guys' team adapts. Is there, I guess, piggybacking off that, Bandit, is there any additions you'd like to make to what City has just said, or characters you're
Uh,
hoping to aim for in a loan?
Mostly is that a lot of characters at FCD, me, FCD, even Crackman, we were interested in Devilman, even Roshi, but again, it's true that when Maju just bust down our door, we just went, oh, well, we're pretty much done, but I am interested to see if Master Roshi could bring the good Roshi thing he does and to our team, but we need the test, which that we'll have to wait for almost a year.
Okay.
But a lot of characters testing FCD already went over. But I'm like the one person that I was interested to see if a 18 for 17 either loan or trade might have been happening. But I know FCD talked me down and say, oh, they love way too much 17. But that hasn't. So that might be a work that we have to do on our team to try to convince that to happen.
Fair enough. Yeah, 17 is a very good character, so it'll take a lot to pry him from my hands.
But yeah, might I give you this consideration? 118 is a woman.
Yeah,
Do you
true.
have
We
a
don't have a
woman
lot
on
of
your
women.
team?
We do not have a lot of women on the team. In fact, we have none. So
Well, they're both
Yes, but do
spammers as
you?
well, so they kind of
yeah, we need some
replace each other.
diversity. That's true. They're both very, very good spammers. Yeah,
Yes, but you could have the woman.
we could. We could have some more diversity.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have much to add.
It's
But
all good.
there might be a trade that I might be interested, but that will involve harder logistics because I always dream to have like Yamcha from Earth Defenders because I think he's a very solid character, but I know our situation is a bit more rougher to allow this like trade alone.
So, yeah, it's in the characters. Like what I feel I can add to hand that part, at least for me, is Resurrected Warrior has not been shy about switching characters. And yeah, if next season there's a team that's like, oh, I want a character from Resurrected Warriors, maybe we can work a trade. Don't be shy to hit us up and try to just argument why we should be doing that move, because there's a lot of interesting names in the lot list, and I'd personally be down to try to just negotiate and see what happened. And right, we never know, especially as a team as open as Resurrected Warriors. Really, we could be making trades with almost about any team, and I could see it happening.
Who knows? Maybe we have a little loan deal between Majin Buu and Majub. That is also on the
True.
table,
That's possible.
technically. Both.
One
That's
day we will loan all our characters for other characters for our team, so our entire team will be just loans.
Resurrected Warriors trademark loaned. For sure, that could be a fun season in its entirety. You do gotta say a little jealous in the diversity you guys get, where it's
Oh
like,
yeah.
if there's a character you don't like, you get a swap. For me, it's like, man, I gotta look at, oh, I got like a dried grape to pick up, and that's it.
That's nice.
Don't over here looking at Jiro, and it's like,
Oh yeah.
not much trades I have available to, so
It's rough. Rough times
least
over here.
for sure. Was there anything like any other things you guys want to go over when talking about your team?
I'm good.
Personally, yeah, I think like I'm good. I think I'm hopeful for a pretty competitive season. Not necessarily like I'm not saying we're gonna go 15-0, win, sweep the playoffs, and celebrate forever. But if we can offer competitive matches that win or lose, you feel like Team Resurrected Warrior, they've a good show, they've a good try. That's my objective for the season, and I'd be satisfied with that.
Fair
For
enough.
sure.
Do you guys want to do a pitch to for people to join your team?
Um, well, if you like a team that is never the same season after season, and because you don't want to be bored of characters, join Team Resurrected Warriors because you will never see the same team again.
I mean, that's a really good spiel, honestly. There are probably
That's not
people
bad.
looking for a team that likes to experiment. So,
Yeah.
and as always, if you want to join, there's going to be links to the Discord, the website, and the Twitter. The Discord, you can literally talk straight to FCD. If you declare for Resurrected Warriors, you'll even get access to the chat where him, Bandit, and all the other members that they've called out will be in, as well as just contact with all of us. And on the website, you can see more information such as builds, the characters, all the restrictions, everything about the league, and the Twitter if you just need to keep some updates on when events and such are going down. With that, this has been Capsule Cast Teams Resurrected Warriors Edition. I'm your host, DoorGuard. Could everybody say a good farewell as we close off today?
See, I'm done it.
Uh, farewell, everyone. It was a pleasure to be here.
It was good to be here. Later, alligators.
Have a good one.